Yeah, it is a little bit dark. Let me go grab the lights. In the meantime, good morning, Alka. It's been a while since we've had you on. And also, good morning, Stacking. Yes, today is the day we no longer await because we async await just dropped in vanilla Rust. Is vanilla latest? Stable? Stable Rust. So what is it? 1.39, I think, is what's latest? Stable, yes. There's too many ways to describe normal. All right, so last time we did a whole lot of like thinking and planning and figuring out, and a whole little bit of a whole lot of nothing of coding. But we determined that we could remove the enum and use a box type instead. And the box type will be used along with a dynamic type, so that will be the trait, and then a hash map, so that way we could easily grab things by their index instead of just having to loop through them constantly. And that should hopefully make it so we can write the walkers can eat each other code. So let's get into that. How are you all doing this morning? It is a Friday, which means that it's a good day. It is a little bit cold here in Denver, but supposedly it's going to get nice and warm over the weekend. So I don't know if there's going to be any changes here. I think it's all going to be in the mod for walkers. We're going to get rid of this enum. And we're going to make this, we have the walker traits, so walker movement. I kind of want to rename this from walker movement just to like the walker traits essentially. Must be opposite day in Ika. You're going into cold snap this weekend. Oh, maybe it's moving to the east. That could be right. You're doing all right, Alka. Just eating some mini donuts and drinking chocolate milk. The breakfast of champions. Food that I cannot eat right now, which is sad. Someday again, I'll be able to eat that kind of food, and it will be marvelous until it isn't. Yeah, so let's change walker movement. Or walker, yeah, the name walker movement, because like we're doing a lot more than walker movement anymore. These are just the traits for all of the walkers. And so I'm thinking we're just gonna make this trait walker. And we can do this now because we're not gonna have an enum walker. This one's for you. Well, thank you. I have a joke to myself, or like thought that maybe I should like create, like if I'm gonna do like a donation system, it would be towards the first meal once I'm allowed to go on to like to eat normal food, like junk food again, and maybe not even junk food, just like food that everybody else eats, um, and then I could share out what that was. Okay, so we're just gonna have Walker here. I know it's gonna be so nice when I'm able to eat that. Now, the Walker's Vect here, this is going to be a box type. Cool thing in box is that we don't need to like bring it in, it's just available to us. Box is going to have a dyn type of no, I think it's the other way. It's going to have a generic, so I'm just going to use T for generic, and that's going to be a dyn of Walker. Did I put that in the wrong place? It looks like I did. I don't think that's how I do it. Let's go take a look at the, what is it? Play Rust. Oh, okay. I don't have to do the T. I just do that. Okay, so what this means is a box is like a generic struct, essentially. It's dynamically allocated in memory, so it can grow and shrink, which is like the problem that we're having with the vector, right? Is we don't like we we not need different types to store in a vector, so that's why we use the enum. But the box can also kind of be used like the enum. It can store different things. And therefore this box, which is one type, gets put into here. But each box, we're guaranteeing, we're promising to the compiler that everything stored in a box implements the dynamic Walker type, which the Walker type is really the trait that's added in. So everything in here must at least have the Walker trait. Um, I'm surprised we only have 2 errors showing in here, and none of them are in here, which seems a little bit weird. So when I walkers, yeah, push, I need to add the walker into the box. And if we go and take a look at what how this works, we could just box new and then just put the thing inside of it. So here we're going to walkers push box new, open parentheses, go to the end, and close parentheses. And then we can do the same thing over here. So that will store each of the walkers in a box for us. We're still in a vector, so I haven't changed that yet. Let's see, I still have 2 errors. Let's see what these are. Unresolved imports. Okay. So these need to be updated. You know, I almost wonder if I put you back, walker movement. I'm actually really curious whether or not this is going to work. I want to put you back to walker movement, and let's just say that you were walker movement. I want to see whether or not VS Code can handle, when I right click, there's this change all occurrences. There's also rename a symbol. There is sometimes there's a refactor function too. I know that this is something that exists in C-Line, like the Jetstream projects, and I think that they brought it into VS Code too. But so if I save you and I run refactor, no refactoring is available. Okay. So let's change all occurrences. Walker, like that. Did that change it? No, it did not. Okay, there is one other one, which is rename a symbol. And I want you to be Walker, like that. Take a look at this. It updated here is now Walker. I don't need to update anywhere else. So you're good. Here, it's it just changed to Walker 2. Implement Walker. Okay, hey, this is pretty cool. That worked out really well. Ooh, this is a problem. use walker, walker traits, walker. Where does that come from? This is the attraction walker. If I do create walkers, do you work? Oh, super. Okay, you work. Katali, good morning. Okay, so don't think there's any errors in there. And for you, it updated to you too. Wait, no, that was the one I originally updated. Then this one is going to have to be the same thing, where we say use super walker traits walker. That magically brought us to 10 errors. The trait bound dying walkers walker traits walker standard clone clone is not satisfied. So the vector walkers is not. Oh, do I need to implement? Can I do something like that on the trait? Is derive clone? Is that even a thing? No, I don't think it is. I think it just added an error. Okay, it can only derive clone if all fields are clone, and it doesn't know that. Why am I walking the walker? Why am I wrapping the walkers in boxes? So we ran into a problem last time when we were trying to figure out how to get the walkers to eat each other. And because the walkers are different types, we kept on running into problems of like grabbing them in and out of the like grabbing them out, but then they'd be the enum. And so I'd have to like extract them from that, and it was just getting far too complex. And we decided to jump into the playground, and we played around with this idea of like, okay, I need to be able to do things like directly. And a box we discovered, if we basically say, hey, we're only putting things in that have the dynamic type of the trait, then we can store them all in the same sort of type of box, which then would allow it to be put into a vector, or I'm thinking we're going to go a hash map. And then once that is the case, we could just totally, we could loop through it. So I'm looping through the boxes here. I don't even have to dereference it or get it out. It just sort of automatically unpacks from the box for me. So it looks like the box is going to be exactly what we want here. At least that's what I'm thinking. Now, getting all these errors to go away is going to be the fun part. So why, let's see, required because of the requirements on the impl of standard clone clone. Wait, so let me undo you. Yeah, so it's been a learning. It's been fun learning to see like how boxes are actually used, because when I first learned about boxes, it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't know when to use them. Now it's like, ooh, I should have gone for this instead of the enum right away. Okay, so required because the requirements on the implementation of standard clone 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 for walker traits walkers. I don't have that here anymore. So what is upset? Do I have clone on both of you? Is it because clone isn't, it doesn't trust it for some reason? I want to run this in the real terminal and get like more room. Let's see if we can get the real errors here. Okay, the trait bound clone is not satisfied. So, oh, in mod RS, walkers, vector, box, dyn walkers, the trait standard clone is not implemented for dyn walkers, walker traits, walker. Okay, so it does seem that it wants me to implement clone for the walker traits. That itself causes another copy. Derive may only be applied to structs, enums, and unions. Oh, okay. So does this mean I have to manually put in a clone and essentially create like a function clone? Like, can I even do this? Self, I want a self to go out, and to implement it, I would just say return self.clone. There must be another hash thingy for that, but you don't know the name. Well, it doesn't like my my attempt to trick the compiler by just saying, "Hey, just do this. It'll be fine." It's definitely not fine. Okay, so let's go figure out how to do a derive on a enum, or sorry, on a box. I guess no, derive on a trait. Okay, that's just what I can do with it. Maybe this is the wrong one. Maybe I want to Rustlang trait copy. I want to like add copy to a trait. The problem is copy is a trait, which makes it really hard to search for like, I have a custom trait. Can I say like, I have a custom trait and then copy? Or it's not copy, it's clone, isn't it? Maybe something like procedural macros in traits. Oh, interesting. Should be something like impl standard clone for walker. We can come here and see. Types are trivial. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is a potential implementation of it. I guess let's try. Let's try it. So I have to, for the trait, implement it. Is it possible to impl a trait for an impl trait? Like, will it yell at me even more if I impl clone for Walker? And is it clone or copy that I'm trying to do? I get those confused all the time. Also, I don't think I can do this. So this is having it be like generic for generic. Trait objects without explicit dynamic are deprecated. Unexpected type argument. What if I then implement it? Like, so if I add in this, and you are returning self, and I'm going to return a dereferenced self. Right. So the value for it doesn't exist. So it doesn't know how to get out of this. So I can't implement the clone here. Yeah, and it is clone, it looks like. Can I implement it up here? So for attraction walker, I know I'm deriving clone. So what if I stop deriving it, but I come down to the bottom and I do what I just did over there, and I implement clone for attraction walker function. I guess this is going to be another attraction walker, and I just want to return dereference self. I mean, so it's no errors there. It should be something like implement standard clone for Walker. I thought I did that. So if I take you off again, we're going to go back to our 10 errors. If I come to here and so on the trait, impl, okay, so if I standard clone, so I could try this one for Walker. And then, of course, there's the impl standard clone clone. So let's do clone, clone. The problem is it says the clone trait for types. If I go down to the bottom, it says the size for values of type Dyn walkers, walker traits, walker plus static cannot be known at compile time. Doesn't have a size known at compile time. Help the trait standard marker sized is not implemented. Wait, so could I just add sized in? So what is it? Standard marker sized for walker. Implementation of size not allowed. Explicit implementation for the size traits are not permitted. Yeah, so I can't like overwrite this and say like, yeah, just go ahead and do it. Trust me, I'm cool. So I don't think that's gonna work. But maybe if I come to each of these and I implement this clone manually for random walkers and attraction walker, okay, so implement it for random walker 2. I don't know if it's updated properly, so let's run it manually. You really need to play with Rust again. It's been a year now, and you're really rusty. Yeah, well, especially it's changed a huge amount in that last year. It's a lot more. It's even more fun to program with now. Okay, so it's the same problem here. Vector box dynamic walker. The trait standard clone is not implemented for Dyn walkers, walker traits walker. Required by standard clone. So is this telling us that we can't really use a box in the way I was hoping to be able to? Or is it more that I just don't know enough about boxes and how to like properly use this? Or is it like these other errors are getting in the way now? I mean, usually I'm used to like the top one being the actual error. So let's see what this other one is. No associated item named random walker found for type Dyn walkers, walker traits, walker in the current scope. Right, because it's no longer walker, random walker. So maybe it can't find the other one. I mean, so I have random walker and attraction walker. Where is this problem? Mod line 51. Oh, match. Okay, so this is a problem because it's saying like this is all code based upon the idea of using the enum. And I'm wondering if like a bunch of this code is using clones and other things that it's saying we can't really do. Yeah, no method named cloned found for type. I mean, do I need to? Nope, I already derived clone in here, so I don't need to like implement it for this vector. Okay, so what if the problem is like the code that we have here relies upon it to be relies upon the codes to the walkers to be cloned because of the enum problem. So if I come down to our update, let's see what we really need to do. So maybe like immediately go into hash map and that would help too, or maybe make it worse. I don't know. Let's find out. So if let's say use the next question, are we really using the box in the right place? Yeah, that's the other question is, uh, do I create the box here or do I return a box when I create the walkers? Ooh, maybe before I even do this, I wonder, okay, so if I say I'm storing a box of dynamic walkers, that's great. But if down here I don't box new, but instead I go to like attraction walkers and I say, look, um, I have the trait walker. I am returning new, which is a box dyn walker. And then I return like you. And I have to do that over in random walker 2. Oh, I wonder if I can just say, this is a box that has a random walker in it, and then the other box that I'm storing uses the trait, like when I'm referencing. I wonder if that works. So if I do you, and then I'm going to say, you're not dynamic type right now. You are actually a full attraction walker being stored in a box. But over in the mod, you are this. The trait bound, okay, so it's the same problem here. It still thinks it needs to be cloned. No associated item named random walker found for type dyn walkers, walker traits, walker in the current scope. Okay, so it doesn't know that like even though it implements that trait, it's not really what it thinks it is. Also, am I doing this right? I feel like I'm missing, oh no, here it is. Oh, okay. When I push self.walkers.push, okay, this needs to be changed. I'm just pushing the result of U going in, like that. Hey, look, eight errors. Okay, so I was still attempting to use the old enum, which we had deleted here. And I think that's going to be a big source of our problems now. So I'm not completely sure and confident that the errors are going to be helping us yet. It might, I guess. But okay, so in update, for example, we're going to iterate, get a mutable iterator for each loop through, and then so then it's like this match walker, and that's the problem, I guess. If I don't do this, like what is this doing? This is just running the update function essentially and passing in the foods. I think this would mean I need the update function also implemented on the trait, which I don't think I have right now. We have eat, which takes in like the foods and vector of foods. But yeah, because they're separate. So the idea here is that I would be able to delete this. In fact, I don't think I even need a for each. I should be able to for walker in self dot walkers dot iter mute, and this should give me the each walker. I might be able to, no, I might need to dereference it, but then theoretically I should be able to say like walker dot update. This will mess it up because update's not part of the trait, and so therefore the updates are implemented slightly differently. And then the update could like run the eat. Right, so it's no update found for this. All right, so let's change that. In our walker traits, we need an update. So we know we're going to have mute self. There's probably going to be some other things. We're not necessarily going to return anything, and we can probably go ahead and implement this here, like a default version of this function here too. So what do we need to do in update? We need to, so attraction walker is going to like attract the target, and you are going to, oh, so they're going to be different. Okay, they are going to be different implementations of it, which means that we do need to implement this, not a default version, but we're just going to say there's no return. So it's just update mute self, and let's see what we need. Looks like we need the arena size for this one. I don't think, are we really using the delta time? We're using the delta time over here, and are we using it? Okay, we're using it in both places. So arena size and delta time. So arena size, which is F32, F32, delta time, which is an F32. The foods we're not going to need here because the only reason we're using this is for like to run the eat function, which is now part of the trait. So we can handle that in the trait, and then the context. Which means we need to pull in the context. Okay, so we have that. That's all the random walkers. What do we need here in our update? And here we also have foods coming in. But that's only because it's choosing the target for foods. So this one needs foods. So maybe eat should be handled in the update function. Yeah, I think it should be. So we do need a list of immutable foods, which means, oh, we already have that in here. Okay, so for you, then it's going to be I guess, is this going to be a vector or it's going to be immutable vec of food? Stacking, you need to run to a meeting. You'll try to catch the stream on Monday, see if this all worked out. Thanks. Have a good meeting. Have a good weekend. And I'll see you Monday. Hopefully we do have it working. Otherwise, it'll just be continue sort of trying to find how to properly do this. Okay, so we're bringing in. Oh, this is bringing in the full foods. Maybe that would be better. Okay, use crate foods. So if I do that, by the way, won't the attraction walker choose another food whenever it wraps around the screen? No, I think it only chooses another food when the food that it couldn't find is gone. When it wraps around the stream, like the screen, it just changes where it was. Okay, so mutable foods in there. Delta time, context, and arena size. Okay, so I think that's everything. Then we won't return anything. So now update must be implemented in the trait implementation for both attraction walker and random walkers. So this function will have to move down into here. So we can start the process by saying, oh, we have clone. I don't actually know for certain we really need this. All right, so function update arena mutable self, and then arena size, delta time, context, and our foods. Okay, so with that, I need to grab you. So you're this. We'll just gut you. I'll just copy you for now. We have to come up and remove it later. So here's our update. I'm just going to paste you inside. And let's see how to like refactor this to make it work in our attraction walker. Let target equals self dot choose target and hand it the foods. if let some target as ref, right, because target is returning an option, self move towards target using the delta time. We slow ourselves down. We cap our velocity. We set our location to self.location plus self.velocity. I think we don't need to worry about these because they're implemented in the traits. We reset acceleration. Then we spend our energy and reset our timer for that. And we keep in arena, which I don't think, do we need this? Oh, keep in arena is off of the trait, isn't it? Yeah, because that's in here. Keep in arena. I think this will just work as expected, so I should be able to remove you. Okay, now we need to implement the update function here too. And function update. Okay, so that gives us that. Then we're going to come to, here's our function update. I'll just get you and bring you down to here. So we're going to self.walk, pass it the arena size and delta time, self.eat, and pass it the food. So this, I believe, expects a mutable vector of the food. And I think what I can do, in mod foods, pub foods. So I should be able to say I want these foods.foods, which is not the best. I think that works. What are you complaining about? Cannot find food types. So then you are going to be use, no, not extern crate, foods. That. Self-to-eat, foods.foods, expected mutable reference found. Okay, so you need to be mute like that. And then our entire timer system to spend the energy. Okay, so no errors there. We'll remove you. Okay. So with that implementation of update, I think I can now come back to the main module here and we run update, and now we have to pass in all the things that it's complaining about. So arena size, delta time, context, and foods. So arena size, we don't keep that. We have to calculate it again, I think. Oh, look at this. Update, we're getting arena size in, so I can just pass in arena size. What was next? Delta time, passing that through. Context, I think I can just do that. And foods, so then it'll be self dot foods. All right, what are you upset about? No field, foods, untype, mute, walkers. Oh, right. I don't have the foods here, do I? I'm going to need to pass into here. Oh, wait, no, food controller. Oh, I just passed. Okay, never mind. I do. Food controller. One more error knocked down. So I'm just going to ignore you until I get through like the rest of this code because we're making the errors go away. Whether or not like in the end we're going to find out that like just the box trait doesn't work, but everything else does. That will be a sad time if we get to that point. But look at that! Look at that change in code. There was like a whole bunch of stuff we were having to deal there because of the enum, and now that's been replaced with just 3 lines. And I'm hoping we can do the exact same thing here. So this is going to be stripping out. We need to remove any of the items from. Okay, so we need to remove walkers that are dead from the vector. And that's what we're doing here is we're just overwriting walkers. And so it's cloning these in order to do this loop properly. And we can probably do this. I think I was trying to do this all in like one go, but this clone I think is what's killing us. Right, because I can't necessarily change, or can I? Okay, so if I remove you, iter mute, then I filter, get the walker. I can't match on the walker anymore. I'm going to say, I'm going to take in the walker and I want to return if the walker is alive. So I'm going to return walker dot is alive, and then we collect again. No method name is alive found for type. Is there a mute box? Do I have to destructure this? No method name is alive for type. So it's like reference of the box. So do I have to super deref it? No, I don't think that's working. I don't know a good way of like dereffing it outside of this. But like we're really like close to this. The problem I guess is that we have this box, and I wonder if I can get is ref walker supported? Oh, I keep on forgetting about the ref keyword. So if I do you, um, yeah, I don't know either. Let's see. Now it's, oh, look at that. So now it's three references in wrong direction. Is there a deref keyword? No. Um, can I like go like that? No, that's really upset. Uh, wait, isn't there an iter mute that gives me a deref in this direction? Iter ref dot. What type is Walker? It's a dynamic. It's a box with a dynamic ref in it. So if we take a look up here, it's a vector with a box dynamic, and that's the trait Walker. Also, good morning, Danny. I forgot to say that. Box should have a bunch of methods for getting the value, but you believe it consumes it. We can go take a look at the documentation for wrestling box. Maybe the actual documentation would be better. No, this is the book. It implements as ref, but I guess I need a deref. Oh, and a deref mute. So it implements deref mute for box. Um, how do I use that? Oh, the star operator is that implementation. Oh, what if I do like deref there? No method name, filter for type, standard, vector box, it's Walker. Okay, so if I deref and then dot iter mute. No method named isli found for type, mute standard box, dynamic box. Okay, so that's the same problem where now like I can't necessarily do this, just like dereference it. I guess there might be a method on Walker to sort of grab it out. Well, that's not helpful. It's just things that it sees on the screen. So I think this isn't necessarily the right path. If I do this in two loops, let's say I do this in two loops, and I just don't worry about like the like big O implications of this. So if I say let dead walkers equals, and this is going to be a vector of IDs. Because each of our walkers implements an ID now, right? Is that true? I have a name. Oh, I don't have an ID. Let's do that. So if I implement like an ID, I thought for some reason I was doing an ID here, but I guess not. So, and I say that this is like a usize. And so when I create this, I'm going to need to create an ID, usize, and then we're going to just pass in ID here. And we need to do the exact same thing to this mod here. So no, you. And then when I create them, down at the bottom, I need to pass in the ID. And so I think I played with this, but then I canceled it and didn't do it. So if I, right now when we create the walkers, this is the only, like we're creating them all at the beginning. So I think I can just do this here. So let mutable, so like next ID equals 0. I don't know if it matters. And so then we're going to push the next ID in. And then I'm going to next ID plus 1. I'll copy you. We'll do another next ID and paste you. And so this should continuously increase next ID over and over again. And so everybody should get a unique ID. And then that means I can create my dead walkers vector. In our walker traits, let's go ahead and implement a get ID here. I don't know if I can implement this because it doesn't know that it has an ID necessarily on it. So I don't think I can just say self.id on here because there's no guarantee that there is an ID. I could possibly do a function set ID. But I don't actually think that this will work because I can't run set ID in here. So I couldn't run self yet because it hasn't been created. Like I don't think I can do self dot set ID. Yeah, because that's like there is no self yet. So we're just gonna have to implement it the old-fashioned way. So in walker traits, we're not gonna set ID. We're not going to tell you how to implement it. We're gonna make you implement this. And so now attraction walker needs to implement get ID. Really? You're not going to give me this one? Self, turn self.id. I'll copy you. We'll come over to random walker and implement you down here too. And so now we can get the ID from this, and that will push into this vector. So we're going to do, it has to be after all the walkers update because they might eat each other or they might die. So I'm going to say, we'll do one more. For walker in self.walkers.ittermute. And we can say if walker dot, so if not, walker dot is alive, then I want to dead walkers. I need to make this immutable. Then dead walkers dot push, and it's going to be the walker dot get ID, like that. And so that will give us a vector of all of the walker IDs that now need to be removed. What are you upset about? No method named isAlive for type. I didn't have to dereference here. Do I have to dereference you? Someone said you can run Rust code without operating system. Is that true? How does that work? I have no idea. I haven't heard about that. Like you need some kind of system to run it. I guess like an embedded OS, like that's super minimal, but that's still an operating system. Oh, you need to include a runtime or write your own. That does not sound fun. No method is alive for type. Reference in a current scope. Can I dereference you? It cannot be dereferenced. Okay. Cool. I guess what I'm surprised, like what I'm wondering about is why does this work and this doesn't? I can run walker.update here, but not here. If I remove you, don't remove you. If I put you up at the top of our update function here, and I just ask you if you're alive. Oh, I think because if I just say like walker dot is alive here, would you work? No method named is alive. Now is alive, is that in here? That's our problem. Our trait doesn't have is alive, which I can do. Okay, so function is alive. Just a reference to self. It's going to turn a bool. Oh, you know what? I can implement this here So we get the health. So if a self dot get health, so if that number, if that is less than or equal to 0.0, and I can just return this. And actually is alive, we want this to be the opposite. If it's greater than 0.0, we're alive. Yeah, it does seem like I'm moving the entire thing into the trait to handle the box. But these are all the shared functions too. So it's automatically handling and keeping everything drier as well. So I think that's good. Okay, so I think that was the problem that I was running into here. Let's move you back down closer to where you're being used. Okay, this is what I want to do. If the walker is not alive, push it into the dead walkers. And then the final thing is that we have to filter uh, filter out the dead walkers. Um, this will be a lot easier if we're using a hash map, because I could just say like, hey, I have the ID, go like just delete it. But otherwise, I'm gonna have to say self dot walkers, which is already mutable. So if I say dot itermute dot filter, we can get the walker out, and like can I do this? I don't know. Wait. Was this the entire problem before? And now I don't even need any of this, and I can just say if not walker dot is alive. Will this just now work? Collect transforms an iterator. Collect can take anything iterable. But I can't see what you're. This is really hard to read. Okay, I don't actually know if I need any of this. It doesn't know the type it needs to infer for collect yet. Oh, can I tell it? Will no. Can I tell it what type it is? Like, can I say I want to collect a box of the walkers? Cannot be built from an iterator over elements of type mutable standard box of walkers. Okay, so I can't collect from a vector of boxes. So I think this one, because if I don't do this at all, it's going to get very upset because it's an iterator going into walkers, which is the wrong type. Yeah, found struct vector vector. It wasn't an iterator. But if I change this to be a hash map, that's when I can say, okay, I have now my vector of IDs. I can loop through my vector of IDs and just remove the and just like kill Yeah, I would just remove the entry in the hash map for the appropriate ID. And then this would work. So I think we can do that. So let's use standard collections hash map. This is now going to be a hash map. And so the value is going to be the box, but we're going to have a usize of the ID in the key. Okay, so that's still standard problem, but hopefully we're going to fix that soon. We're going to create our new hash map new, and it's just going to be empty. Then down here, when we're creating new, so instead of pushing, we're going to say self.walkers.insert, and it's going to be the key and value. So it's going to be our next ID, and then the value here. We increment our ID, you become insert, next ID like that. So now we're not going to use filter. We don't need to anymore. Also, this mute walker update, no methods named. Oh, right. So now usize, right. So I need to grab, this is the ID and the walker. That's the only change I need to get that section of code to work. It's just returning a tuple with the ID, the key, and the value. And so now I'm going to collect the dead walker, which ones are dead. Okay, so for walkers, south walker, this is going to be the same thing. And so I'm going to get the ID and the walker. So if the walker is not alive, I don't even need, I don't even need to pass in the get ID. I could just pass in this ID. Hello, Match. Good morning. Now, I guess a question is, do hash maps have like the equivalent of filter, where I can just say like, look, I just want to go and grab this, but let's ignore that for a second. We now have the IDs of all these that are dead. I don't even need that get ID, but that could be useful for another time. I think now I can say self I need to now loop through all these dead walkers. So for dead, I guess it would be an ID in dead walkers. I don't care about taking ownership here. It can clone the ID. I now need to say self.walkers. I need to remove the key from the map, returning a value as a key if the key was previously in the map. The key may be borrowed, so there's that. Remove entry, removes the key from the map, returning the stored key and value if the key was previously in the map. So I think just remove, and I give it the key, which is the ID. Is this a result that comes back? It's an option, which I don't really care about. I guess it's not really yelling at me for not implementing it. I'm down to 3 errors, but they're the sort of like the more doozy of the errors. But okay, that's all of update. This draw is not being used, so I can delete that code. And here's the next draw where we're having like the old enum being used, and we don't want that anymore. All right, so what's the point of here? I am creating the meshes, which is, are these literally the same size? Like it's scaling by, yeah, I think it is. This looks like it's another thing that I could add to the trait is essentially a draw itself. Um, or you know what? It can be both of these in one. So let's just completely get rid of you. I'll just keep you as reference. I need to loop through all the walkers, and then I'm returning. I'm actually drawing. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing a full draw here. So let's for walker in self.walkers dot iter mute. Actually, it doesn't need to be, it can just be a ref. Can I say ref here? I don't know if I like that compared to the, yeah, I think this makes more sense. Can I do this? So far, yes. Now I want to draw for each thing. So we're going to say graphics, we're going to draw. And so let's pass in the context. Oh, I feel, oh, that got weird. Okay, hold on. Draw. I'm going to pass in the context. So we need the walker mesh. Which means I need to get mesh. Yeah, I need a get mesh method. I don't think I can set a mesh on this. Attraction, so like, I'm creating the mesh just right here inside the walker. So all I can do is just have a get mesh. And this is going to return a, so GZ, graphics, mesh. Mesh like that. Okay. So, is it a reference to the mesh that I'm returning? I don't think I want to do that. I'm probably going to run into lifetime problems. I don't necessarily want to give it, let's see, what happens if I tell it that this is actually a reference to the mesh? I wonder if I'm going to need to manually set some lifetimes. It's not yelling at me yet, but that may come down here. Okay, so get mesh. We're going to take in a reference to self. We're going to return a reference to a mesh. And then I just want to say self dot, can I just go self dot mesh? Mismatch types. Okay, so that wasn't a reference. We'll reference you. Okay. Copy you and put you over here. Come back to here. And so now I can say walker.get mesh, and that will be a reference to the mesh. And then the last thing here is these draw params. So let's create that. So draw param. We're going to create the default draw params, and then we need to say, okay, our destinations, like where it is. This is a point to from walker dot location. So right now, do I have like a get look? I do have a get location, so I could just do that. So point to from, and it's going to be walker dot get location. Then we want to scale, and it's going to be a simple array of, oh, and I think that there's a better way of doing this. It's like a dot scale. Oh, I don't have it right now, so I'm just going to say dot scale, and we'll put in a walker size, which really is walker dot get health. Okay, walker.getMesh. No method named getMesh for type in the current scope. Wait a second. Didn't I create that? GetMesh, right there. Also, it doesn't know about get location. Oh, right. Oops. You are a tuple of the ID and the walker. And now the scale is the only thing yelling at us. No method named scale off of, oh, I think maybe this is the wrong place. Can I put you there? Hey, no errors here. And then we have our create walker, so you can all be deleted. So draw is now a simpler function. We don't have to implement iterator for our walkers anymore because it's cool like that. We still have this problem. The trait bound dying walker traits walker standard clone is not satisfied. Where are we cloning? Do I not have to implement? So I'm drive debug. Do I have to not implement clone? Still getting this one error, and it's still saying that clone is not satisfied. I mean, so it's so close. I'm like down to this one error left after this big refactor. Because the requirements on the impl of the standard clone for Boxdan Walker traits Walker. So it's just saying that clone is not implemented for my Walker trait. I mean, can I say that I want both of you? Like that? And if I say that you have clone, could I just add clone into the derive? No, this gives me more errors. Only auto traits can be used as additional traits in a trait object. Yeah, so it doesn't like that. Can I implement clone? Because like that's what it's yelling about, right? Clone in the Walker traits here. And then we have, if I just do that, what happens? Right, so then it's the same. I'm not, I mean, do I need to implement in here? That seems weird. I mean, I can't imagine this would work. No, it's just adding more errors in again because it's like saying, "Hey, you can't do this." It's like the wrong type. Doesn't have a size. Yeah, it doesn't have a size known at compile time. So I'm like super close, but at the same time, I'm no actual closer. And unfortunately, I do have a stand up in just a few minutes. So I'm not exactly sure how I should go about fixing this and making these the hash map like properly store this. We might just need more like to study up on like other way. Like is box not the right one? Is there another one that I can use that does work for us? You think you have to check the beginning of the VOD later? Yeah, the beginning of the VOD, I switched over from vector here, And then I also removed an enum and switched over to a box type. Um, but now we're running into the size, like this not implementing clone, which I guess I'm using clone in a couple different places, which requires our walkers to have clone. Like if I don't have you at all, I don't think this necessarily makes it better. It's literally just the same problem here. It's just somewhere clone is being used, and therefore it needs to be implemented. But it's not. And I don't think like I can do, yeah, somewhere, can I see where, like if clone is foods clone, self.location clone. Ooh, okay. What if I get location? What if I just say, you know what? We're just gonna return a new vector2, and I manually clone this myself. So it's gonna be self.location.x, self.location.y. And if I do this to random walkers, no more clone results in here, but it's still requiring clone. So it's still a problem. I have not very much time before my stand-up, so unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to fix this on stream today. I do have to go to work. It's that fun thing where I have to make money for a living, so I can do this in the mornings. Um, but thanks everybody for stopping by and watching me play around with boxes and refactoring into hash maps away from vectors. I think this was a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. And there's still obviously a lot more to learn, and I'm looking forward to that. My next planned stream is going to be Monday morning at 6:45 a.m. Mountain Time. And with that, I hope that you all have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.